Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to invite all guests to be seated as our ceremony will begin shortly. My name is Ahmad Shan and I am the Assistant Portfolio Executive at the Maldives Fund Management Corporation. We are here this afternoon to witness the signing ceremony of the project, EU Support for a Resilient Recovery of SME Tourism Industry in the Maldives. I wish to welcome all of you, especially the Ambassador of the European Union to the Maldives, His Excellency Denis Chaibi, Minister of Economic Development, Ustaz Fayaz Ismail, Minister of Tourism, Dr. Abdullah Mausum, and the Managing Director of Maldives Fund Management Corporation, Mr. Hassan Manik. Allow me to first and foremost inform you of this ceremony's agenda. First, the Minister of Economic Development, Ustaz Fayaz Ismail, will deliver the opening remarks, followed by the keynote address delivered by the Ambassador, His Excellency Denis Chaibi. After that, the agreement will be signed and a short video clip will be presented to the audience. Lastly, a statement will be delivered by the Tourism Minister of Maldives, Dr. Abdullah Mausum. To begin this ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to have the Minister of Economic Development, Ustaz Fayaz Ismail, to deliver the opening remarks. Ustaz Fayaz Ismail.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Denis Chaibi, Ambassador to the European Union to the Maldives, Minister of Tourism, Dr. Mausum, Managing Director of MFMC, Mr. Manik, our colleagues from Tourism Ministry, Foreign Affairs, and all present here, a very good afternoon. Today marks the start of a much anticipated project for the tourism sector, which has been made possible by very generous assistance from the European Union. We have been working on this project for some time, and today marks the fruition of that project. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the European Union and especially our colleagues from the Foreign Ministry who has been working very hard to realize this. The project EU Support for Resilient Recovery of SME Tourism Industry in the Maldives focuses on the tourism sector, which was undoubtedly the hardest hit during this COVID pandemic crisis. In particular, the MSMEs of the sector faced the major brunt of the crisis, given the limited alternative avenues for financial support and other cushioning support services. Although the government of Maldives initiated several economic relief programs targeting MSMEs during the start of the pandemic to mitigate the negative effects of the economic crisis that we faced, we have been forced to bring out additional stimulus packages, which, as we speak, are currently being rolled out by the Bank of Maldives and the SME Development Corporation. This project undoubtedly will provide a relief to the smallest of our tourism sector operators, which have been struggling to get resources to do their reopening and also to meet their debt obligations as we go along. With the renewed optimism that we are seeing today, with the very hard work of the Ministry of Tourism and of course our Foreign Ministry, we are now at a juncture where we have surpassed some of our daily arrivals of even 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And the outlook is very positive as far as we are concerned. With the vaccination programs that's been rolled out in the Maldives and across the world from our originating markets, we are very confident that we will be able to recover and reach the levels that we were operating in 2019 in the next year or so, and hopefully do much better with the intensive marketing efforts that's being carried out by the Maldives Marketing Corporation and together with the Ministry of Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by highlighting the difficult situation of COVID-19 in the world right now, although it's improving. Despite the difficulty in travel and engagement over the past year, the government of Maldives welcomes the close partnership and assistance from the European Union. I believe this project will have a sizable and pronounced positive impact on the MSMEs in the tourism sector, and I look forward to further collaboration with the EU in the post-COVID-19 recovery timelines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Now, let us warmly welcome the Ambassador of the European Union to the Maldives, His Excellency Denis Taibi, to deliver the keynote address. The Ambassador.
Thank you for this introduction. Ministers, friends, it's a great pleasure to finally be able to come back to the Maldives. I presented my credentials 1.5 years ago, looking then very much forward to working often in Malé to the upgrade of EU-Maldives relations, but unfortunately a very, very tiny particle prevented me from doing so from Malé. But we kept working in favor of stronger EU-Maldives relations, and these relations are being upgraded as we speak. We're going to start soon the negotiations for a partnership and cooperation agreement. We call it PCA. It will be an extensive agreement looking at taking the form of an international treaty between the EU and the Maldives. And there, the Maldives will prioritize what it expects from the EU and have an upgraded relation. And with that, there will be also some funding. But we didn't wait for the start of these negotiations to be able to bring some funding to the Maldives. And in particular, during this COVID crisis, to see the figures seen from Colombo, but to see the figures of a contraction of the economy that is between 28%, what the World Bank has put, and 32%, what Minister Amir said, we see a very severe contraction, and we have to congratulate the government for the way it managed this crisis. There's really a search for vaccines around the world. Many countries have not been able to procure vaccines beyond COVAX, but the Maldives has been able to do that and has 70% of its eligible population now vaccinated. And walking around Malé, I can see that the economic life is ongoing, that people are doing business. So that's very comforting, but at the same time, we know that those who have been the hardest hit are those far away from Malé, who have small guest houses, who for almost a year have not had any visitors. So that's why of these 2 million euro, so 36 million rupiahs, 1.4 million euros, so 2/3 will go for direct grants managed by the government. So there will be direct funding for those hardest hit, and we pay particular attention to the small guest house because they are very, they do tourism in a very environmentally friendly way. It's a small footprint, it's a small consumption, it's a lot of things that are renewable, reusable, and it is also managed often with a stronger women presence, and we also want to empower women. In the EU, we think that it's very good for society in the long term. So we are inspired by our own experience. The tourists from Europe constitute generally 50% of the tourists coming to the Maldives. This year, because the first 6 months have been what they've been, it's only a quarter, but we are pretty confident that now for the 6 remaining or 4 remaining months, you will be really an uptick from European tourism. For most EU member states, there's no red list. I know that one country, there's a big red list, but I'm pretty sure that there will be good considerations also there. So European tourists, they like guest house. These are the type of tourists who go to the guest house. They like environmental concerns. They share it. The EU is at the vanguard of negotiations. And they are also very reassured by health measures. And there, part of these grants will go for training in health and environment. So then again, there will be something to which European tourists are sensitive to. And then what is very good also is the sense of ownership. We are very heartened by the fact that this will be managed by the Maldivian authorities for the Maldivians. So there's a strong ownership, and because there's a strong ownership, we are pretty sure that the results will be outstanding and that the guest houses will receive grants that make a difference to their life and training that make a difference to their future. This is part of a wider set of actions. We are doing we are bringing considerable funding on the mitigation of marine litter. It's a project that is regional with Sri Lanka and India, and there we've started the action, and we are also doing some serious funding on how to best implement the single-use plastic ban that the Maldives has enacted recently. So we are looking at, environment, health, tourism from different angles. This is the most important to date, but we are pretty sure that in the future we will have more opportunities to have greener policies that bring more tourists back to the Maldives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived at the pinnacle of this ceremony, which is the signing of the agreement. The signee representing Maldives Fund Management Corporation is Mr. Hassan Manik, and representing European Union is His Excellency Dennis Taibi. Please welcome. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Hassan Manik. Respected guests, next is a small video presentation of the project. Please have a look.
SMEs in the Maldives tourism sector have faced severe disruptions to business operations following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The government of Maldives has rolled out numerous financial assistance packages to business during the pandemic, with many focused on SME support. However, majority of businesses still require additional financing to kickstart business operations. Guest houses and safari vessels are among MSMEs that have been particularly hard hit by the crisis, given that such MSMEs have lower financial buffers to weather a large shock to their businesses and limited access to working capital finances or overdraft facilities beyond government-facilitated economic relief programs. The European Union is providing €2 million as grant aid for the project, EU support for a resilient recovery of SME tourism industry in the Maldives. This includes $1.4 million as a direct benefit scheme which will be allocated to guest houses and safari vessels. The project will also provide €600,000 towards technical assistance, which will be directed to training programs for beneficiaries aimed at improving business operations, financial management, sustainable waste management, and creating access to international markets. A key activity under this component is the establishment of an online travel agent (OTA) system, which would be an important gateway to create demand and value for MSMEs. The EU-funded project has been designed to assist such MSMEs involved in the tourism sector, most specifically guest houses and safari vessels with less than 40 beds. It is estimated that more than 600 MSMEs will benefit as recipients of the proposed grant and would be an immense assistance to such businesses struggling with reviving operations in the post-COVID-19 recovery phase.
National Boating Association of Maldives NBM or Mindekani EU ge migrant ki tourism recovery avara muhimmu fada take vedane eche gotuga hasako boating industry ki medufanti ge vifarika varu alun mi industry covid nawaran dimawe challenges ge recovery mi for the fund Maldives fund management corporation medure ko sarkaru libene go hama jassa dinuma ki hama gamas industry korean takka mikamu aragatuma libene ituru mage.
Since the introduction of local tourism in 2009, there has been a very positive impact to the islands in the Maldives. The industry has brought very positive growth to the businesses in the islands such as cafes, restaurants, water sport businesses and other businesses in an island. The dependency of to the capital city from the locals has decreased since there is a way to generate income in the island by staying there. The COVID-19 has impacted the guest houses at most due to the borders being closed and the locals being heavily dependent on this income. But we are slowly recovering at the moment and we are hoping brighter days are ahead for us.
The project will support efforts of the government of Maldives towards fostering SMEs in the tourism sector, and the revival of such businesses will encourage a direct impetus to the local economies through protection of employment and entrepreneurship opportunities. The eligibility criteria for project beneficiaries is straightforward and ensures equal and fair distribution of grant funds to eligible claimants. Criteria: local individual, sole proprietorship, partnership and/or company registered and doing business in the Maldives in guest house or safari sector. A guest house or safari vessel registered and in operation and/or with a valid operating license as of December 2019, January 2020 or February 2020. Guest house or safari vessel with less than 40 beds. Apply for the grant upon public announcement or call for proposals before the set deadline. It is expected that the project contributes to sustainable development of the Maldives as it contributes towards enabling tourism-related SMEs to survive beyond the COVID-19 economic crisis and emerge stronger, equipped with knowledge on sustainable business practices, and help market the business globally with support from the technical assistance component.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite the Tourism Minister of Maldives, Dr. Abdullah Malsoom, on stage to say a few words.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Denis Shawi, Ambassador of the European Union to the Maldives, Economic Minister Fayez Ismail, MFMC MD Hassan Manik, distinguished ladies and gentlemen here, especially industry partners. Indeed, today is a very happy day. A helping hand is always very good, and it's a good sign. Today, with EU support, we are getting a huge financial assistance, especially as a direct grant of 1.4 plus 600,000 as technical support. I think the technical support, even though value-wise is smaller, it's going to be more beneficial. But today, we need the direct funds, finance to the small sector, guest houses and safaris, that have really suffered. So just now we saw on the video, it's very straightforward. Those who meet the criteria, you apply and you get the grant and you start to be more stronger than now. I wish to thank the small SMEs, safaris and guest houses for being in operation while making losses. It's a very, very tough task, but you were there. You welcomed tourists, and that helped us to be the world's leading destination in 2020. Now, with this grant, Excellency, this is a clear indication that the global community is working with Maldives and helping us grow. Tourism is our main economic activity, and when the pandemic hit and when our borders were closed, because we don't have a domestic economy, we were getting short. So President made the bold and brave decision to open our borders, and very simple safety measures to ensure that the Maldivian community, tourists and the staff, they had reasonable safety, but we manage tourism. And as Excellency just now mentioned, today we celebrate that the whole world sends tourists to the Maldives except a few countries who have got us on red list. And we hope that we will be eased out of those red lists in the coming days, and we will have a very, very good 2021. In fact, as Economist of Ayers mentioned, this August, we are already breaking the numbers of 2019. That's a very good sign. Of course, as we embark on safe tourism with vaccination, our tourism sector is, all the employees in the tourism sector, especially in the resorts, they have got 93% of them have got double dose vaccine. And you can see from the Maldives, as Excellency you mentioned, we are back. We are operating in normal circumstances. With this, we want to incorporate Maldives tourism further into the European technology, European ways. So I'm happy that we are working with the Foreign Ministry and EU to incorporate EU vaccine certification to the Maldives arrivals. And it's our wish that Maldives be among the very first countries that formally accepts EU vaccination certificate. I think that will really be another booster for Maldives tourism. 2020, next year, 2022, we are going to celebrate our golden year of tourism, 50 years. And as we move towards 50 years, the technical assistance from this program, this grant, I'm sure will help us also take us to 2030, where we have set the net zero target. Tourism sector is one very important sector that will effectively contribute to that one, and I think some properties would be able to do a lot towards that target. We are drafting tourism ministry, tourism master plan, 5th master plan, and we will set targets to reach 2030's net zero target. Once again, I wish to thank Excellency for being engaged with this, and Economic Ministry and MFMC for being part of this. Of course, industry partners are the real champions of this. As we move towards a total recovery, we have to realize that still there are some resorts that are not open. We hope that these resorts get opened, and also there are some employees who are not really back in job. Those people who lost jobs, many of them were given income support for the tourism sector. But as we move on, we hope that all the resorts will be back in operation, in the sense that they also re-employ everybody who has, if they have had any adjustments, pay adjustments or no pay leave or anything, that all of them are back. When we welcome our golden year, we wish that we have a full recovery. arrival numbers is only one indicator of recovery. The benefits to the people has to really get into this one. Another aspect, Excellency, that we are working now is we have started the Ministry of Tourism's Tourism Diversification and Localization Project, and we have had meetings with the councils. The timing is perfect because the new councils just sworn in last April, and since then we have been engaged, and we hope that the small hotels and guest houses in inhabited islands plus the safaris will be a real significant partner in tourism. Before I conclude with I know I got just 5 minutes, just want to say a few words in the way. Ade miyadu me soyko me libun grant ke sabun algon men industry warabodu kuriru men libigen dan kamat kore shakkenne. Waraboda algon men karuta fena ga tibi guest house taka safari taka. Ehalu goregen me senta hingamundi. Then ehiga ate miyadu me dikkolleveni. Me ehiga beenu muga sida fasa gotun libe ehiga etunu ngadibe me technical support gotuga me kantata fahiko din mangi mi hege teren war bodit faada takira kra libigen dane me algonuge me algon men me gabul kra gotuga kudi adi medafanti ge vyafarta tourism ge daira ga kuriya ragen industry ka gadiyen ga gannani ema miyadu algon nimmal me korin hama EUen algonun me fada ehiye devvita di me fada ehien hodmaga Ministry of Foreign Affairs ge faratum kodde masakata adi mi project design kurumuga algon menna ekon mi malumat hissa kori hore hafarat ko bor shukr danwa me hisabo me algon ge dwaya ke algon me kura masakato ke man Allah barka laba algon menna ada hore fa maate man Allah me marko. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Our ceremony has now come to an end. Once again, thank you all for gracing this signing ceremony with your presence. It has been great having you all here today. Thank you all.